Hi, everyone. This is Jillian from Jewish Workshops. I am so happy to be joining all of you today, and we are extremely privileged to have Dr. Miriam Adahan on the line. Before we get started, I'd love to see who's joining us and where you're from. So if you can go to your question box, it should be on the right-hand side of your screen. Just please go ahead and put your name and where you're joining us from so I can give you a warm welcome. If you're more comfortable with your initials, that's great too. And if this is your very first time on a webinar, you should see a control panel from GoToWebinar on your screen, and there's a question box. Sometimes it's called a chat box. You can go ahead and send in questions anytime throughout today's class. We'd love to keep it as interactive as possible. I'd also like to give a really special shout out to everyone in Miriam Adahan's community who's here with us on the line today. I'm so happy to see all of you. If you want to go ahead and put a star next to your name, I'd love to also be able to give you a special warm welcome. So let me see. Welcome Anna from San Diego. It's great to see you. Welcome Karen from Toronto. Mitra from LA, Risa from Beersheba, M from Lakewood, welcome Rifki from Toronto and Rivka from Israel, welcome Aaron, welcome Laura from Beit Shemesh, welcome Jay from Wisconsin, Angelica from Kansas, and it's your very first workshop. That's really exciting. Welcome. Welcome Kay from Arkansas, Panna from Dublin. Oh my gosh, I love seeing you here, Panna. Welcome Doris from New York. Welcome Rena. Welcome, let's see, VM from Chicago. Welcome Tammy from New York, R from Queens, Claudine from Virginia. Welcome Shalom. Welcome Daniel from Passaic. Welcome Claire from LA. It's so great to see people coming in from all over the world. And as people continue to come in, I want to just say welcome, welcome, welcome. I could probably be here all day if I was welcoming every single one. So a big warm welcome to everyone here on the line with us. This is absolutely incredible. With over 1,000 signups for today, we are likely to hit capacity any minute. So please don't leave in the middle. You're very likely to be locked out if you try to come back in. And we have a lot to go over today. Over the past 9 years, Jewish Workshops has been fortunate enough to work side by side with Miriam to offer exclusive online programs on emotional healing and well-being. From managing anxiety to controlling anger to building self-esteem, Miriam's expertise, support, and unconditional love for her members, taking part in her healing journeys, have led to the transformation of hundreds of lives around the world. Most recently, we've received a number of requests to open up another opportunity for a healing journey, focused most specifically on her unique ability to help people heal from past hurts and ingrained beliefs. It is so challenging to know how to deal with your automatic response system and the onslaught of feelings that come up during daily challenges. So today, Miriam is going to introduce us to her world-renowned techniques in order to get our healing journey started on the path to regaining control and in finding ourselves in the process. So make sure to stay on the line, as I mentioned, until the very end to hear about the opportunity to join Miriam week after week for a full 8-week program at a special discounted rate just for joining us today. Plus, we will get to as many questions as we can live on the line. So as I mentioned, throughout today's class, please feel free to put your questions in. We will get to as many at the end as possible. And I also mentioned we'd love to keep things interactive. So Miriam will ask you questions and you can go ahead and put your answers into the chat box. Please don't worry, everyone will remain anonymous. Nobody can see the questions or the answers or your names except for myself. And I will make sure not to mention any names. So please feel free to write in as we go along. It is my supreme honor to be hosting Dr. Adahan, or Miriam as she prefers. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Miriam Adahan has been a psychologist for over 45 years and has more than 15 books published in numerous languages. With her many years of experience in counseling, lecturing, writing, and training counselors, her wellspring of knowledge cannot be duplicated. Thousands all over the world have Miriam to thank for the success of their relationships and their emotional and physical well-being. So Miriam, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. How are you today?
I am so glad to be here and to be talking about my favorite subject, how we heal from trauma.
Great.
So this is what I love to do.
Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and put you on to your next page.
So, why am I the way I am? Boy, did I ask that question of myself as a child because I was so super sensitive and didn't understand why nobody could stand me because I was so sensitive and crying and sensitive to foods and sensitive to smells and to and to fabrics and just about to everything and sensitive to people. I didn't know that I was so sensitive to people's vibes, but I could feel what they were thinking and I could feel people. So a lot of us who are very, very sensitive get very traumatized by just the nature of the world and all the traumas around us, the mean teachers, the toxic parents, I don't know, the people. So we are a conglomeration of whatever we have experienced. And many of us have experienced a lot of trauma. So we're going to understand how we got to be the way we are, which is a combination of nature and nurture. And we're going to help ourselves learn how to get unstuck. Now, the unstuckness is mainly about two things. Trauma, the difference between somebody who is traumatized by an event and somebody who is not traumatized is the level of fear and shame that we experience. Because people can go through the same experience, have the same parents, whatever, the same things going on in their lives. Some are more traumatized than others. The more fear and shame a person experiences, the more stuck. It's like think of your brain as real estate. Fear and shame can take over all the real estate in your brain. And what we have to do is take it back, take our power back. We have to learn how to become the CEOs of our own minds. Become powerful again. We were powerful when we were born. We knew what we wanted. We knew we wanted love. All children, you see that they're upset if they're ignored. How do they know that they shouldn't be ignored or shouldn't be abandoned or shouldn't be hit? Kids are outraged by violence and abuse because they know it's wrong. So our job is to find out what happened and to be honest about it and then take back the real estate in our brains. I hope that explains it. And we're going to talk about how to get unstuck. Julian, do you want me to say some ways that we get unstuck?
We can go to the next slide if you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So I made 26 specific wounds that we can go through. And the reason I love the number 26 is the gematria, or in Hebrew, all words, all letters have numbers, like Aleph is 1 and Bet is 2. 26 is like God's name. And Yud K Vav K, that is God's name, is 26. All of these wounds come from Hashem and are given to us because we're all here to do we all have a mission here. And in order to do our mission, we have to go through certain things and develop certain skills and inner strengths. For instance, let's take birth rejection. It's considered that 50% of children aren't even wanted. I get people telling me that, oh, the baby was ugly, was handicapped, was the wrong gender, was the wrong color, had the wrong color eyes, has the wrong whatever. So either the pregnancy wasn't even wanted, or the baby was something was wrong with the baby in the parents' eyes. One woman told me she was rejected because one eye was slightly larger than the other. So there wasn't any, she was considered ugly and there wasn't any symmetry. Parents have endless reasons. Now, I don't want to demonize or dehumanize our parents. They're human beings. They went through whatever they went through. They were also overwhelmed. Who knows what they came from and what they were dealing with. So, having a baby and being pregnant is difficult. Babies are messy, they're demanding, you don't sleep, it's not always fun. So not everybody wants kids. And then we're having this huge thing in America about abortion. So there are certain circumstances in Jewish law in which women can abort for the first 7 weeks. Because of this, you don't want a lot of unwanted children in the world. It's a horrible thing to have to go through. So I just want you to just name what you went through, and be. We're just being accepting that this is what a lot of children went through. There's even something called the third child syndrome. Like a lot of parents, they'll have one or two. But by the time the third one comes along, it's too much. So it's really a recognized phenomenon, that third one. So I don't know where you were in the lineup. If, even the first one could be unwanted, or if that was just what you had to go through. Now here I'm going to I'm going to connect it to something that if you were rejected at birth, you probably have a thought in your mind that just runs through your mind. Nobody can really want me. I mean, after all, if my parents didn't want me, how could anybody want me? And this is a sign of trauma from the past. And children people will say this. I have people coming to me who are successful and rich and handsome, good looking, whatever they want, but they have this underlying feeling, how could anybody ever really want me? Nobody could ever really love me. And usually this go back to like a memory of the mother in pregnancy, which babies hold with them. So a lot of adopted kids have this because the mother didn't want that pregnancy. So this is birth rejection, and now I'm going to connect it to what I call the tikkun. The tikkun is what we need to do with that, is that we have to learn to love ourselves and not reject ourselves over our looks, our intelligence, or anything. That's our work. So some people come into this lifetime, and what they're meant to do is just work and struggle on these thoughts, on these beliefs. They're meant to struggle. And this struggle takes up a lot of time and energy. So birth rejection, the tikkun will be, I have to learn to want myself. It means I have to look in the mirror and say 100 times a day, or however many times you look in the mirror, I want me. God wanted me here, even if my parents didn't. And to begin to reprogram your own mind. This is how you take back the shame and the fear from whatever happened. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is lack of physical affection. Children need tons of touch. They need somebody to look in their eyes and cherish them. They need to be cuddled and soothed. When babies are cuddled, the mother produces oxytocin and serotonin, and the baby gets a lot of serotonin. Serotonin is the main ingredient in antidepressants. So if you don't get it as a baby, you might need to get it later on in life. This is huge. It's a huge, you see in many so-called primitive cultures, babies are on the mother's backs. They get that touch. It gives a child a sense of being secure. Just the touch. Lack of physical affection is a huge trauma. And that means that once in a while, I just heard today that Messi, I think he's a soccer player, that people used to see him just stroking his face during the games, or I don't know, whenever there was a break, he would stroke his face. How interesting. So we can learn to give ourselves physical affection. You can try it right now. Give yourself a hug. Just take a few seconds during the day to hug yourself. So we have the first one. The tikkun is to look in the mirror and say, I am wanted. At least Hashem wanted me here, so I must have a mission. The second one is to give yourself that nice hug. Stroke your face. You can do it right now. So soothing. The third one is enormous. If a child is ignored, he's just unkempt, poorly fed, not well disciplined with love, whether he's just allowed to do everything he wants or just ignored, this is enormous trauma, even more traumatic than being beaten up. The fourth one is parental strife. By the way, the tikkun for that would be that you will be extra careful to take time with self-care. Make sure you brush your teeth, make sure you shower, make sure you look nice. You just take whatever the wound was, I'm going to give you the tikkun. Okay, parental strife. Like just listening to parents argue, that's so traumatic. You don't know if they're going to stay together or divorce or kill each other or whatever's going to happen. It's very, very wounding. And here there's the tikkun is that you want to learn how to soothe yourself and make peace within yourself. The next one is bullying. There are a lot of bullies. They could be parents, they could be older siblings, kids in school. The world obviously has kosher animals and non-kosher. In the same way with people, there are predators who are the bullies, and then the people that they prey on, the sensitive souls. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was in the latter. So we get bullied. The bullies just naturally seem drawn to us like magnets to bully us and scorn. Very wounding. And then again, the tikkun is going to be that we don't bully ourselves. Criticism is a form of bullying. The threats, the blaming, the shaming, you're stupid, you're crazy, you're a lazy brat, you're a pest, you weren't wanted, how could you do that? All these shaming statements. Why did you get a 95 and not a 90, not 100? And why didn't you do better? Okay, horribly shaming. All of these 26 fill us with shame and fear. The one of the major people who talk about trauma is Bessel van der Kolk, and he says all trauma has to do with disconnection. So criticism causes us to disconnect from ourselves and who we really are, as well as the people around us, and it can prevent us from ever being able to connect to people. And we might call ourselves these names. Oh, how could I be so stupid? Oh, that was crazy. Oh, I'm so lazy. I didn't change the sheets or whatever. If we were called names, then we tend to call ourselves names. And there's a tikkun for that, which is to give ourselves a lot of during the day, what I call high fives, endorsements, talk about our victories. I did get out of bed. I did brush my teeth, whatever it is, to undo some of this damage. Many of us experience physical abuse. Being hit or being a witness to violence or harsh punishments fills us with, again, it's going to be fear and shame. We can't avoid feeling ashamed, because that is the effect of physical abuse, is you're something shameful. There's something wrong with you. And you're going to grow up feeling there's something terribly defective and wrong with me. The next one is sexual molestation. At least 1 out of 3 girls experiences this, and 1 out of 6 boys. This is huge. the vast majority of people who come to me as a therapist experience sexual molestation. This really confuses people. Horribly confuses, especially it's a family member, an older brother, a cousin, a father. It is so confusing. The lack of boundaries. And then the tikkun is to make really firm boundaries with people in our lives. I'm skipping over, I'm not going into any of these deeply. We're going to do that in future sessions, but I'm just want you to know that this is normal. My profession is dealing with these wounds. Most of them were caused by the predators. Okay, cleanliness issues, hysteria about mess or dirt. On the one hand, there might be parents with OCD, where the mess was more important than the child, and messes were exaggerated, and mountains were made out of spills and stains and little things. So if your house, somebody told me today that she said that her father would think that a pharmacy wasn't good enough. If your house had to be a pharmacy and there was hysteria about things being messy or dirty, this is huge trauma, because you can never always have everything clean if that's not possible. In contrast to that, there's poor hygiene. Maybe you grew up with parents and there was hoarding, there was a mess, things were filthy. Your clothes were dirty, your body was dirty, you went to school and there was people rejected you. I want you just to keep a list of what you experienced here so you know how many wounds you have, because the more of these you have, the more trauma you have. And the more likely you are to have anxiety and depression and suffer from maybe suicidality and these things. It's just a direct result of trauma. All of these produce some level of complex trauma, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. There might have been religious torment where God was presented to you as a mean, sadistic bully, and you had to be perfect to please him, and he was out to get you, and you could never have a relationship with such a God because he was a sadist. And this is just one way to torment little children. It's horrible, because then such a child can never have a relationship with a sense of a loving being or being connected to something higher than ourselves. And we need that in life. We need to feel we're part of something bigger, and we're not just little dots, unconnected dots. So religious torment, and punishments, harsh punishments because you didn't wash your hands right, or your feet touched the floor with bare feet, or you didn't wear certain clothing, or you were immodest, all these things. This is horrific. So we just did 10. And already we see that a lot of us are schlepping on with us into our adult years a huge amount of pain and torment, and pretending like it isn't there. Okay, because that's what we learn to do. Perfectionism, demanding that a child always be obedient, neat, brilliant. That's another huge one, because perfectionists can never be happy by definition. Something's always wrong. Overprotection, excessive pampering, and indulgence is also crippling. Kids don't want to be able to do whatever they want and jump on the table naked and run around and not have a sleep time and not have a wake up time and get everything they want. This is definitely not good for kids. Kids need Seder, they need order, they need structure. The next one is a negative body image. Okay, just about everybody gets this, because only 2% of people can fit in with the Hollywood images that are portrayed as the perfect models of what a body should be. And boy, kids in class will torture anybody who doesn't fit in, or they might even torture somebody who is too beautiful because the jealousy will get in there. Okay. Food abuse, being forced to eat everything on your plate, being deprived of food as a punishment, or a parent who's always talking about their weight and how they need to lose weight, or hysteria about gaining weight. Or on the other side, lack of proper nutrition, where kids can just have sugar all day long. I have a lot of people coming to me who they live on coffee and biscuits. And nobody ever told them. The schools don't teach proper nutrition. They don't teach us what to eat. They don't teach us how to think. They don't teach us how to be mentally sane. Very sad. Okay, so this is abuse of food, or seeing parents say, I just can't control myself, and seeing them be dysregulated about food. Then there's money trauma. There could be poverty, lack of food, cramped quarters because of that, or lack of privacy, or parents who were so rich that it seemed as if people like me only because I have money. That's also a trauma. Rich people don't know if people like them for their money or like them for them. And if they have very fancy clothes, that could also be a trauma, just being different. Then there's social isolation. A lot of kids get rejected, bullied, teased, or excluded. I've had people tell me that, even in their 70s and 80s, that the exclusion, being ostracized, that will live with you forever, that pain. And there's a tikkun for each one of these. I'll go into it in future classes, but whatever we experienced, we had to experience so that we can, that's our tikkun. That particular thing is what we have to work on. So a lot of us who experience social isolation might be avoidant of social situations, and we're scared to be rejected. We're afraid of being judged. We don't like people's eyes on us. We don't want to speak in public. We don't want to share our feelings or state our beliefs, and we can't be real. And social isolation can happen over a lot of reasons, many of these. And if that's what you experience, again, the sensitive children tend to be isolated socially because they just don't flow easily, and maybe they don't laugh at the right times, and they're very sensitive to the bullying and what goes on in most classrooms. And they at home they will take it much more seriously, the sensitive types. Academic failure is huge. Okay, because the kids who are outstanding are the ones who get the attention. And kids know by the time they're 6 or 7, maybe even earlier, who the outstanding ones are. So if you had learning disabilities or ADD or ADHD, or you were taken out of class and you had tutors, you began to feel like a failure very early in life. Again, it's fear and shame. Fear and shame and fear and shame and more fear and shame. So the more of these you're checking off, that just says what you're dealing with, how huge your what I call the pain body is that you are living with. Because kids want to be normal. They want to fit in. The need to belong is so huge that anything that would make them feel like failures, whether it's academic or because of money or whatever, their disabilities or whatever, is huge. I can still remember a few of the kids in my class when I was 8, 9, or 10, and they lost a parent, they'd come back after the Shiva and like, oh, we're fine. We don't have any trauma. We just want to fit in. I think of, all these terror attacks, all these poor little kids leaving the Ukraine, orphans, the fathers were left behind, so many orphans. And people can be orphaned emotionally as well as physically. So, but kids want to fit in. So they begin to lead a double life. Oh, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. I fit in. Oh, no, I don't feel any grief. And we learn to be sort of, I thought of myself as a trauma ninja as a child. Oh, I know how to deal with all this, and I can act perfectly fine and smile. And I know how to deal with abuse and rejection and being ostracized. I'm great at this. I'm a real ninja. Trauma ninja. Okay, that was me. Let's pretend like it didn't exist. Handicaps and illnesses, chronic physical or emotional illnesses. I suffered from childhood arthritis, from Crohn's, colitis, I had allergies, whatever it is. Some of us, from early in life, we had chronic physical or emotional illnesses. A lot of kids are very sensitive or handicapped in some way. Some of us got negative views about men. Oh, all men are bullies, or all women are monsters and over controlling. I don't know, whatever. We got bad feelings about men or women, or prejudices about people. Okay, whether it's Hungarians or Israelis or Americans or French or whatever, or the color of the skin, there's so much prejudice. Very, very painful to be the object of prejudice. Then there's divorce, which is devastating for children, because it's not just like, oh, the parents get divorced one day. It doesn't usually happen like that. Usually there's years of silence or physical abuse or emotional abuse until the final divorce takes place. And kids are living, they're marinating in all that pain. And then the death of a parent. So huge pain, which lives with us. Okay, so do we have more? Because, there were originally 26. Okay, there's 22. That's fine. Okay. There's so many more I could have put in here, but people react in different ways to trauma. We have a huge, wide range of emotional and physical reactions. Essentially, if children, I remember there was a movie, I didn't see the movie, but I know there's a book called The Cave about a Romanian family, extended family. I think there were like 32 of them, that the Nazis were coming, and they fled to a cave, and they didn't see the sunlight for 2 years. The men would go out at night and forage for food, and then come bring it back into the cave. The kids nobody saw the light. Now, the person who wrote the book, The Cave, she was in that cave from the age of 4 to 6. But what she remembers is how loving her mother was. If they would get an apple, the mother would cut it up into pieces and feed her. And the mother was always optimistic and telling her it was going to be over, and very loving, holding, singing, smiling to her. So she was not as traumatized by the experience as, let's say, a child who doesn't see a parent. A lot of mothers work from, they put babies 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old, in childcare from 7 in the morning. They come back at 7 and the kid is put to sleep. There's no contact. The most traumatic experience for a human being is disconnection. It's not to feel bonded to anybody who cherishes you. We need to be cherished. We need to feel loved and wanted. That is the worst trauma. So there's no right or wrong way to feel, to think, or to respond to any of these things that we've been through. Your responses are normal reactions to an abnormal event. Maybe you isolated. Maybe you became super friendly and extroverted and the clown because you didn't want anybody to know what you were really feeling inside. Maybe you became a bookworm. Maybe you had to become super talented or achievement oriented. Maybe you were an overachiever or an underachiever. So what you need to know is what you did experience in your past. Was it neglect, abuse, bullying, perfectionism? Because depending on what you experienced, that's what you have to mataka now, and that's what you were meant to fix in this lifetime. So I had most of those traumas myself, and I've spent my life fixing them. Julian, do you want to mention some of the traumas people have been through? Do we have anybody that wants to say? Can people hear me?
Hi, Miriam. We're here with you.
Okay. Oh,
Sorry,
good. Okay.
not sure what's going on, but I'll read it now for you.
Okay.
Neglect and perfectionism, sexual abuse, lack of physical contact, perfectionism, social isolation, overprotection, criticism, neglect. Basically, been through it all. Birth rejection, lack
Can you
of.
hear me now?
Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Hannah?
Yeah, we're here now with you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
Okay.
don't know why my
Ah,
it wasn't working, but I feel
Okay.
bad for your voice, so let me finish.
Okay.
I'll take
Okay.
over from here. We have bullying, losing parents in our teenage years, perfectionism, abuse, divorce, and bullying, neglect, prejudice, negative body image. I have 15 out of the 22. Lack of confidence and social anxiety, perfectionism, devaluation of women's work, home strife, witnessed parents arguing bitterly at age 8, parent strife, criticism, money trauma, negative view of men and negative body image. Someone else wrote also several from the list that, like multiple from the list. Lack of confidence. I don't feel that anyone subjected me to it. I feel like it's my personality. Neglected. Also 15 out of 22.
Look at that. So I want you all, before we go on, to just see yourselves as heroic for carrying on, for being alive, for being here on this webinar, for caring enough to want to heal as much as we can heal. And just right now, just pat yourselves on the back, on the shoulders. Just say, wow, whoa, look what I went through. Look at the pain that I have schlepped on with me. And I have tried, I've gone through school, I'm a nice person, I'm here wanting to heal. Despite all this, that's heroic. Huge. Totally huge. So really, I want you to really feel that. And now you know for each one of these, there is a tikkun, there is a repair work that we need to do. And even if we have to do it our whole lives, I have 20 out of the 22. Even if I have to do it out of our entire lives, and that's okay. I'm still doing it. I know what I need to do. Okay? So that's our work. if I had been free of shame and fear earlier, I wouldn't have had that particular work. I might have accomplished more things. But I was dealing with all this. Okay. So you want to go on with some of the responses?
I read all the responses. I think we can move
Okay.
on to the next part.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So we're just here to say, oh, oh, this is what Hashem gave me. You know, it's very interesting that there was a Mishkan, which was a traveling tabernacle in the desert. And it contained the two things. It contained the what's called the Luchot, the Ten Commandments, and it contained the ones that Moshe Rabbeinu smashed, and also the whole ones. And this is like, it's so symbolic because the ark represents each of us. Each of us has a broken part and a whole part. That's life. There's a brokenness is what pushes us to seek Hashem. Either we're going to get into addictions to try to not feel the pain, or we're going to seek Hashem. There's no other thing that we can do. Those are our only two choices. So that's what we have to do with our lives, is recognize that there's a part of us that's broken and shattered, and that's exactly the way it needs to be. And then there's the whole part of us. The essence is still whole. There was a Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Vorkay. Somebody asked him, what is a true Jew? He said, upright, kneeling, silent, screaming, motionless, dance. That we're whole and we're broken, and that's exactly the way it needs to be. And we're incredibly heroic. We don't need to be ashamed that we went through this. But we do have to do whatever possible to love ourselves to the best that we can love ourselves and love the people around us, and just keep working towards that goal to accept ourselves as broken and whole at the same time. So I see a lot of people had a lot of birth trauma, a lot of not being wanted, people that were, I talked to a lady last week who said that she had 3 girls in a row, and she was sure that the third one was going to be a boy. And when it turned out to be another girl, she didn't feed her for 6 months. She was so depressed. So whatever, parents have their own issues to deal with, and their own their own picture of how life should be, how marriage should be, how their spouse should be, how their children should be. It's a snapshot. Sam Vaknin talks about the snapshot, that we don't fit into their snapshot, and then we get rejected. It's okay. Our goal is not to reject ourselves. And as Yaakov says, children definitely experience the vibrations. Kids are vibrational sponges. Fortunately or unfortunately, I still am a vibrational sponge, and I can feel people's energies. Almost everybody here, I'm sure you're a vibrational sponge. And we feel the strife in the home. We feel if we're wanted or not wanted, if we're loved or not wanted, not loved. And it affects us. Okay. And that's our work. One person says, my father called me stupid because he was trying to teach me exponential notation from the age of 2 and I didn't grasp it. It's like, oh my God. Okay, so here's our trauma. And it's okay that we have it. It's supposed to be. We were supposed to be traumatized. It's just how much pain we're dealing with. And the degree of pain that we experienced is the degree to which we are heroic right now. So we're just mentioning, accepting. And Miriam says we're just all a big piece of trauma. Yeah, except the people who traumatized us. So the traumatizers usually don't have that same pain. They don't feel it. The people who traumatize often are presented to the world as people, the happy, successful people who don't feel. The aggressive types. Oh, here Malcolm says, The Cave Dwellers by Christina McDowell. Thank you. Okay, The Cave Dwellers. So it's not the trauma. It's how people around us reacted and whether we felt loved by them. Okay, so if we didn't get it, we have to give ourselves that whatever we didn't get, that is our job to give it to ourselves now. Oh, Naomi says she was berated for being smart. Oh, I also got that. Nobody's going to want to marry you, a smart girl. We can get it coming and going. Nothing we do is okay. C says, not mentioned on your list is the shame of silence, thinking that you need to keep secrets. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, well, kids will keep secrets, especially if there's sexual abuse, alcoholism, any kind of addiction. That's what they'll do. That the kids want to be normal, they want to be accepted, they want to belong, and that means you live a double life from the time you're a very small child, which creates more social isolation because you can't really make friends when you can't talk about what's going on at home. So this is just what we're dealing with. A lot of people had sexual abuse. A lot of people had criticism and neglect and perfectionism. Well, obviously, if there's perfectionism, there's going to be criticism because nobody can be perfect. So this is just what we have to deal with, okay? A lot of people went through neglect. Yaakov said he went through everything. Kay says everything. Birth, rejection, lack of physical affection, abuse, neglect. Okay, a lot of divorces in this day and age. A lot of bullying. So the sensitive types are preyed upon by the bullies. And this is what we have to deal with now, is recognizing it. And see, when kids suffer abuse, let's say even if a parent dies, the kid had nothing to do. They had no fault of the child's. There was a terror attack, whatever, cancer, whatever. Kids feel ashamed if they're not like everybody else. They feel like something's wrong with them. So the sign of abuse is these thoughts. Something's very wrong with me. I don't fit in. And it's my fault. And if I'm being abused, it must be that I'm not capable of being loved. I'm fundamentally unlovable. So if you have these thoughts, that's a sign that you suffered abuse. Okay. So should I read some more of these, Jillian? It's up to you. I think there's some kind of disconnect here.
Yeah, I think, can you not see the slides anymore?
No, I can't. Oh, okay. Now I see
think
it.
that we're, okay, I think we're ready to move on to the next slides.
Okay. So what's the impact? Now, having gone through abuse in childhood means that we lived a double life back then. We were full of shame and fear, and we had to pretend. So obviously, if we're in a relationship with somebody now, we're going to be scared to share. We're going to be withdrawn. We're going to be isolated to some extent. We're untrusting. We fear that whatever happened to us in the past is going to happen again. This is a problem with children that were orphaned. They very often decide, I never, ever want to experience this level of pain again. So how do you avoid experiencing the pain of losing somebody? You do not form any real attachments. You become fake. And you form fake attachments, which makes you feel isolated and untrusting, afraid, anxious, intimidated. There's like children that have a high score on this list are 1,000% more likely to suffer from anxiety and depression. Now, if you go to a therapist or you go to a doctor, you say, I am anxious, I have anxiety, I have depression, they usually do not look at where it came from. 95% of people, at least, on psychiatric meds aren't crazy. They're suffering from the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder. But nobody looks at where it came from or how to heal that. So we just get pills to cover it up. So withdrawn, isolation, this is going to lead to depression. Lack of trust means you can't form relationships. You're always expecting, well, if my mother died or my father died or they got divorced or somebody would abandon me and my father ran off with another woman or there was betrayal, infidelity, all these things. Well, that is what's going to happen in the past, in the future. Whatever happened in the past is going to happen in the future. So it makes present relationships very, very difficult. And that's why I'm going to focus on creating healthy, trusting relationships with ourselves, learning to trust ourselves. That's where it starts. That's where we start to heal. So when wounds from the past are left untreated, then any small event, any innocent comment or question can easily trigger negative emotions. So you have somebody who put the washing machine on the wrong setting and goes ballistic. Okay, no trust. Or somebody looks at you wrong. There are numerous ways we're going to be talking about where tiny events. You walk into a room and nobody looks at you or you're snubbed or whatever. We're constantly being triggered by things that happened in the past if it's untreated. So we have to treat this. Now, I want you all, this is very, very important. Look at this brain. This is the most important thing I can give you. It's very, very important. Put your hand on the back of your neck. Down there, the back. That is your primitive brain. You see, it's like a blue thing at the back of the nape of the neck, that is your reptilian brain. All it's concerned with is touch, food. It's just obsessed with sex, food, survival, power. Next to it, you see the little pink thing. That little pink thing is the amygdala. That's the fear center. If you were brought up with a lot of fear, it's bigger. Now, people in what I call the dark triad, the bullies, the predators, the narcissists, the sociopaths, and the psychopaths, that area of the brain is smaller. They actually do not experience fear as we do. That fear center is smaller. A person who cannot be shamed, who doesn't feel any shame about what they do. They ran through a red light, ran over somebody, sexual abusers. That part of the brain is not functioning correctly and is actually smaller. Whereas in people who are very sensitive, that area of the brain is larger. This can be changed to some degree. We can learn to calm that part of the brain down. Now look at the green part. That's the part between your ears. That's the limbic system. Every message we got as children, every experience we had is imprinted in that area of the limbic system. It's a huge area between the ears. Now, the primitive brain is completely developed by 6 months in utero. We're born with that area of the brain fully developed. We're born wanting to sleep, wanting to play, wanting touch, wanting to be fed. That's that area of the brain, and that we want it. That's fine. It's not bad. And then the limbic system is how we're programmed. And I'm going to be talking a lot about limbic lies. But the other part of the limbic system and the primitive brain is that we need a lot of pleasure. There are many more positive neurotransmitters than negative. The cortisol is the fear response. And that's just one. Cortisol, norepinephrine, and adrenaline, that shows that we're having a fear response. But the brain develops the more we get. DOSE, dopamine, oxytocin. Dopamine comes when we're anticipating a pleasure. You see it, the baby sees the mommy or daddy and their legs are flying and they're so excited because they know they're going to be picked up. The experience of pleasure, of anticipating pleasure, we need that. Okay, that's dopamine. Oxytocin. Oxytocin is what happens when we cuddle or hug. We need this. Serotonin is the calming neurotransmitter. Okay. So we need a lot of pleasure. Endorphins so that's how you remember the 4 positive. DOSE. We get this when we're out in nature, when we're having pleasure. We need pleasure. And that's the first way we begin to heal. Now, if your limbic system was programmed to be in a state of fear and shame, you have to take your power back. And it is never too late to start doing that. Every day we're going to have opportunities to heal ourselves. And in the coming weeks, we're going to train ourselves to free ourselves from the emotional pain. When the next time you eat something, I hope it's healthy, and I hope you say, oh, that was a delicious orange. Oh, that was a delicious apple. Oh, what a great salad. What a delicious cucumber I just had. So tell yourself, you're training yourself to be happy, to experience joy. That's how you take back your power. So we have to free ourselves from the emotional pain. I was very stuck down there in a very pained limbic system and primitive brain. My amygdala was huge, and I would dysregulate very quickly. And I still have my post-traumatic stress disorder, but it's a lot less. I know when I'm dysregulated, and I know how to get it back. I know when I'm having sensory overload and how to get back to myself. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take all the stones that are thrown at us by people and events, and we're going to make them stepping stones for growth. One of the things I love to do is I collect rocks from around my home. I live near the forest, very quiet place, very healing. I collect stones and I paint on them. And it's very healing. We're all going to have these stones. So if you want to be part of this healing journey and understand your limiting beliefs and find your inner light and help you to use those stones for growth, let us know right now.
Thank you so much. I see people writing in, yes, now, definitely. I'd like to be part of it. It's really great. And Miriam, this was such a beautiful way to introduce us to the ways that we can heal, and we have so much more to go over. So I want to just go ahead before we get to some questions that have come in, and I'm sure that there will be many more questions to come. I want to go ahead and get you every bit of information about the next 8 weeks and the big course that we are going to be having with Miriam, so that you can start joining and saving your spot, and then we will go ahead and also get to some more questions. But this is just really exciting. I see so many nows. Yes, now, let's go. Please give me more. So let me go ahead and tell you exactly what is going to be coming up on your journey. So starting next week already, we will be going over transforming your inner narrative. Identify your negative narratives and transform them to self-empowering statements. Then in week 2, regulate your emotions. Learn to accept your emotions for what they are. Slowly guide yourself to a place of calm and equilibrium. Class 3 will be embracing love. Free yourself to give and receive love. Discover how to love yourself and not be dependent on receiving it from others. Then we'll be talking about release. Let go of resentment and liberate your emotional state. Use meditative techniques to guide yourself toward freedom from your past. In week 5, reaching within. Discover how to communicate with your inner child in a powerful way, leading it to a place of healing. Then following that, we'll be talking about overcoming trauma from toxic people. Reprogram your mind from disabling beliefs. Identify your brain's response to abuse to develop self-efficacy and resilience. In class 7, resiliency skills. Develop resiliency skills despite the trauma. Gain the tools to keep on going when the going gets tough. And finally, class 8 is a live Q&A session to get all of your questions answered and allow you to fully integrate all of that you've learned into your life and into your specific situations. All of our classes are going to be on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Israel time. But don't worry, if you can't attend a live class, a recording will be available to you in your own personal membership area just 24 hours after that live class takes place. And then you'll have access to those for a lifetime. So you'll be able to listen to and download your classes at your convenience. Plus, not only will you be able to join Miriam week after week, you will also get a full series on the patient's potential. This 4-part series includes homework and techniques to diminish the ego and shift to a more patient mindset. You'll also get a full mindfulness series. Mindfulness is food for the soul. This 5-part series includes inspirational methods and motivational techniques to shift your thinking to mindfulness. And you'll also get a full series on overcoming social anxiety. To discover a gentle approach to overcoming social anxiety when you get immediate online access to the 6-part downloadable series. It includes EFT sessions and inspirational and motivational techniques that can be easily applied to your day-to-day life. And of course, our bonus number 4, most importantly, you'll get a one-on-one phone consultation with Miriam, which is something that really doesn't even have a price point. It is just an amazing opportunity to get your personal questions answered and mentorship directly from Miriam herself. All of this is included, and as you can see, we're really going to take you on a full journey with one-on-one support, a community of people all working towards healing together, and personalized solutions to get you through your healing process. You definitely will not be left alone on this journey, but you'll have Miriam guiding you hand by hand. Most importantly, by investing in yourself, right now, you'll be able to free yourself from the long-term effects of trauma, such as anxiety, anger, insomnia, substance abuse, gastrointestinal disorders, and discover a meaningful path to healing. You'll be able to empower yourself to remove the blockages from your past and become a more actualized version of yourself. Finally, experience joy on a whole new level as you unburden yourself from the emotional pain that has been holding you back. And stop letting emotional wounds dictate your interactions and responses, and instead relate to others with unguarded authenticity and empathy. And lift the weight of shame, insecurities, and self-doubt from your shoulders as you achieve the greatest emotional victory. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is the first time ever that we've created an all-encompassing journey focusing on Miriam's proven strategies for healing, specifically from traumas in the past, with full emotional and personalized support. Plus, to make it accessible to everyone, we're offering a payment plan option so everyone can partake in this one-time chance to heal alongside a one-of-a-kind mentor. Usually, this course would be well over $500, but today, we are offering a special chance to get in for the basic package, the 8 weeks of classes plus recorded classes, as I mentioned, for just $297. Or you can join the Platinum membership and get a full live 8 weeks plus the recorded sessions, plus the Patient's Potential, the series on mindfulness, the series on overcoming social anxiety, and a personal phone consultation with Miriam, all for $397. And as I mentioned, when you click to join, you'll be given a payment plan option available so that you don't have to pay all at once. Before I share the link, though, I do have one more surprise. If you've been on our classes before, you may have heard of this really exciting request that one of our members made several months ago. She said she loves all of our classes, but doesn't always have the chance to take all of them due to monetary restraints. So she asked if we could put together a raffle, and we've been doing that for some time now. And of course, we are going to bring that back once again. So everyone who signs up right now during the next, I would say about 45 minutes while we're still on the line getting questions and answers, when you sign up right now, you'll be automatically entered into the raffle, and we will pick one lucky winner tomorrow to get your entire package for free. So whoever wins tomorrow when we pick your name, we will go ahead and refund your payment immediately, and you'll get the entire thing for free. So I really urge you to sign up now and get your spot and make sure that you get entered into that raffle. Let me go ahead and put the link right here in your chat box so that you can stay on for the question and answer. You can actually just open up a different browser or a different tab in your browser. It's going to be www.jewishworkshops.com/heal. HEAL. For those of you who are on the phone, you can also go into your browser. It's jewishworkshops.com/heal. And go ahead and enter right now. Grab your spot. And then when you do get in, please just come on back and let me know. You can put your first name and the words "I'm in," or your initials and the words "I'm in." I would love to be able to welcome you and also kind of just keep an idea of how many spots are being filled up as we go along here for the next little bit of time. I do want to remind everyone who's on the line, if you're already part of Miriam's VIP club, then this will be part of your membership. So no need to sign up for an additional package. You already have it as part of your membership. If you're having any difficulties or have questions on how to register or need help registering, please come on back, put your name and your phone number. Hannah's here on the line, Sephora's here on the line, Aviva's here on the line. I have a full crew ready to help and assist you. We will give you a call as soon as possible to make sure that we can help you get in. So please just put your name and your phone number so that we make sure that we can help you. And again, once you're registered, please come on back and just let me know with the words "I'm in." In the meantime, I would love to get to some questions that are coming in. I'd also like to be able to open the line for any of Miriam's VIP community members who would like to talk about their experiences as part of Miriam's community, anything that you'd like to share about how Miriam's helped you already on your healing journey. I would be happy to open up your microphone. If you are interested, please just come on back to the chat box and let me know. I will be happy to go ahead and do that. Let me just see if I can find some of these questions. Also, if you go ahead and just put your questions in now, I will find them and make sure to get to those questions. Let me see. Oh, Miriam, somebody asked, and I think this is actually a really important question to address. How is this different? How is being a part of your community and taking part in this course different than going to a therapist? Why is it so important to do it as a community versus on your own?
Great question. Okay, so what I found is that going to a therapist, now therapists are trained never to share and to be a little aloof and just to listen. Many don't give tools. They're just there to listen, and they don't share. So sometimes you don't get the caring, that particular caring heart. If you do, that's very important. But there's something about, and that's important. That one-to-one is great if you have a caring person. I never found anybody that was very caring. And I went to a lot of people. What I loved was being part of a support group of other people who suffered from abuse. And that was very important, so that I saw that I'm not alone. Now, if you go to a therapist, you don't know how, you might still feel very alone. Whereas if you're part of a large support group, say, wow, other people are dealing with similar traumas. And it's it's such a relief to find out that you're not alone in this. So that's the one thing. There's something you can get from one-to-one that you can't get from a group. And there's something you can get from a group that you can't get from one-to-one. So both have their advantages and disadvantages.
Thank you so much. I hope that helped and answered
somebody,
your
by
question.
the way, somebody said that she just wrote in that getting the validation from other people helps to take away the shame. So that's very good. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. We also had one of our community members write in that Dr. Adahan is unique in psychology in the way that she uses Torah wisdom and nutrition to all kind of bring everything together. We always feel very cared about. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was also really special. And I want to go ahead and welcome our newest members, and then I will get to, again, some more questions. But welcome, Malky. She just said she's really excited for this to start. That's really nice. Welcome, Beth. Welcome, Debbie. And welcome, Miriam. Please let me know if you have any other questions and need help registering. Again, I do see some people putting their phone numbers in. If you don't put your name and phone number, we won't be able to reach you. So if you do have questions and need help registering, please just come on back and let us know. As I mentioned, we will give you a call shortly. And of course, once you're registered on your own, please let me know with the words "I'm in." Let me see. Is the course lifetime access to the resources afterwards? So yes, the course will be in your own private membership area for a lifetime. You'll be able to access that right there in your membership area by listening, or you can download it to any device that is convenient for you, and you can listen to that as well. unfortunately, during the course, that's when our one-on-one consultation with Miriam will take place. That's not a lifetime accessibility, but if you contact Jewish Workshops, we're always happy to try and connect you with Miriam if you need some additional counseling on your own. So how to prioritize. I need this for sure, but I also need some help with marriage, parenting, and so much more. Miriam, can you also help us kind of determine if this is something that, to me, this feels like something that should come first, taking care of yourself and making sure that you're in the best place. But again, I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to you because I think you're the best person to answer.
Look, it's a lot of people have emotional difficulties. Mayo Clinic came out last year with a very definitive statement. It said narcissists are not capable of sustained, loving, predictably dependable relationships. And that's a lot of people. And it's very traumatic. So what we have to do is work on loving ourselves in a very sustained, predictable, consistent manner. And if people can love us, they'll love us. And the other people who can't love, a lot of people simply cannot love in a very sustained, dependable, reliable manner. So we have to work on ourselves. We can't change anybody else. We can't get people to love us, but we can learn to love ourselves as we are, the broken parts and the not broken parts. Okay. So, a lot of people are experiencing family alienation, family fragmentation. We have to make peace with what is. And I always tell people the best way to have a good relationship with somebody is to be in a state of not wanting, just to be in a state of being able to accept whatever they can give as what they can give. It was very interesting that in the Mishkan, that traveling ark, it says over and over in that Parsha, Truma, in the Torah, that a person should give if their heart inspires them to generosity. And it talks a lot about a generous-hearted person and a person with a wise heart, and the generous-hearted over and over and over again. Every person I meet, I immediately assume that they're giving everything they have to give. And I can't make them give any more. People are always giving what they have to give. And most people are extremely limited because most people never experience unconditional love. So what I can teach you is to look in the mirror and experience unconditional love for yourself. Now, that doesn't happen in a minute or a week or a year. It's years of practice looking at yourself in the mirror and giving you the unconditional love that you didn't get. I meet very few people who got unconditional love. They usually they're not attracted to my workshops because this is a place for people who have been traumatized. But I have worked. I've been doing this work for 60 years. So this is what I do with my life, is I teach people to love. That's all we can do. Love heals. Nothing else heals. So when you begin to love yourself, the people who can love you, you'll be able to experience it. You'll make an opening for that. And the people who can't love, you'll let them go. I hope that makes sense. There's no such thing as full healing. This is constant work. It's a lifetime of working on love. And it's infinite. The amount that we can open ourselves up to healing, that's infinite. And it just gets better day by day by day. I've been here for 9 years. Wow, 9.5 years, Jillian. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. Okay. So and I've just grown so much by the interaction with people and all my students, the Torah says, the Pirkei Avos says that the teacher learns more from the students. So this has been the most healing thing. And we're all just healing to whatever extent we can. I don't push it. I just say we're going to heal little by little as we open ourselves up to the possibility of feeling worthy of love. And then the people who can love us will love us and we'll feel it. And the people who can't love us, they can't. And we'll just accept that they can't.
Thank you so much, Miriam. That was so beautifully said. I want to go ahead and just welcome Yaakov, welcome Esther, welcome Daniel, welcome MS. It's so great to see all of our new people. Welcome Larry. So great. I do have some more questions coming in, and I just want to reiterate. So I'm sorry, sometimes I go a little bit quick when I'm talking about the classes because I'm so excited about getting that information over to you after all those yeses come in. So in answer to your question, Susie, the classes are all going to be taking place on Mondays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Israel time. And again, if you can't be on a class, please don't worry. We always give out the recordings the very next day, and then you can listen to that at your convenience. You also can, of course, if you're listening to the class not in real time, if you're listening to it later in the week, or even a couple weeks later, you can always send in your questions, and we're happy to get those answered for you as well. So please don't feel like if you can't make it to a live class that you're missing out. You're certainly not. Many of our members don't make it to the live classes, but your questions will still be answered. You can either send them to us. We actually will give you a direct line for Miriam for her email address so that you can get those questions throughout your course. And of course, there's that full hour Q&A at the very end of the course, where again, we will get more and more questions. And oftentimes, I think somebody said it really nicely here, that you not only do you get validation from the community members, but you can also hear from other people's questions that everyone's really kind of going through the same thing in their own way. So the support that you not only get from Miriam, but that you get from the community is really beneficial and something that is very, very unique to what we're able to offer here. Let me just get to some of these other questions. Miriam, we had a great question and now I have to find it again. Sorry.
I saw somebody says, is it really possible for us to learn to love ourselves? And what if my parents didn't love me? How can I love myself? Oh, okay, sweetheart. Honey, that was my tikkun. It just took me a few years, but we worked on it. This is practice. It's like learning an instrument. And that's the one I had to learn. And I didn't think it was possible because it just wasn't possible. But I learned, I practiced, and you just start off looking in the mirror and say, you know what? What if I could love myself? What if it is possible? That's our essence. Love is our essence. We just have to get to it. We have to just uncover it. It's hard. It's really, it's like taking a teaspoon and digging away at a mountain, little by little, and uncovering what I call our jewel essence. Our essence is a jewel. It's joy, empathy, wisdom, enthusiasm, and love. That is our essence. It just got covered up by all the criticism and the trauma and the fear and the shame. We'll get back to it. Little by little, we'll start working. It's like getting rid of, I have a son who's a personal trainer, and people come and they come and they're like 300 pounds and they say, well, I want to get fit and I want it today. And they're all bent over. And he says, you know what? You're going to have to work. And people come and they're the same. They're bent over emotionally. And there's so much trauma. And whatever you can do, sometimes people come to me. I take them for walks in the woods near me. And just get them, to take a few steps out. It's so hard. We've been in that cave for so long. By the way, one of the writers wrote in that the story about the cave dwellers is No Place on Earth is the actual name. The one, the cave dwellers, was a different story. So thank you very much. I love the interaction, and just start by saying, wow, I got out of bed this morning and I signed into this class, and I'm going to learn, but this is just learning. However long it takes is as long as it takes. And I'm going to give you tons of ways to start experiencing that it is possible. Just to hold it in your mind that it is possible to learn to love ourselves. That's what we're here for.
Yes, definitely. Miriam, we had a great question come in. Can you give an example of what taking a stone and turning into a stepping stone looks like? I think that was really...
So that's exactly what the idea of tikkun. Tikkun means repair work. So if let's say I was rejected, that's a stone. That was a heavy stone, a lot of rejection, exclusion, ostracism. And I make a mantra out of everything that I've experienced. Okay, I do a lot of EFT, emotional freedom technique work, which is the tapping. And that's one of the things that I'm going to teach people. And I just kept saying to myself, even if I was rejected by so many people in so many different ways, it was the story of my life. Even if I was rejected, I will learn not to reject myself. So I kept taking that stone, the rejection stone, and saying, I will learn not to reject myself or not to reject others. I stay distant from toxic people, of course, but I just accept people for where they're at. So you take the fear or the shame or whatever it is that you went through. Because I was neglected, I will not neglect myself. That's another stone, is neglect. So I don't neglect myself. I eat properly. I don't touch sugar. I take my supplements. That's a way of taking care of me because I was not taken care of. Whatever the wound is, you recognize the wound, you accept it with non-judgmental compassion. And then you do the opposite. See, I have many people coming to me who were brought up in an alcoholic home or brought up in an abusive home or brought up in different kinds of environments. And it's called, there's a word in Hebrew, there's an expression where you doing the opposite is what you're here to do. Statistically, about 20% of people from alcoholic homes will do the opposite and not touch alcohol. People from abusive homes will do the opposite and they won't lift a hand to their kids. People from, they'll just do the opposite. And that's where the tikkun, that's where you bring the light in. If you weren't loved, you'll learn to love yourself. Slow. That was the hardest thing in the world for me. But I'm still working on it. I still have more to go. I still have, it might be that I get the initial response of, oh, how could you do that? And then I change it. So if you have a tendency to put yourself down, catch yourself. We're going to talk about making positive mantras to oppose the negative ones. People come to me. I had somebody yesterday, handsome, wealthy, intelligent. He says, how could anybody ever love me? Okay. He was programmed so early in life to feel defective. Now, thank God he's young. We're going to work on it, but it's going to be many, many, many years. So it doesn't matter. We're just moving forward. Doesn't matter. There's no goal, ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to love ourselves so that we can love others and feel that we are part of a universe that is based on love. And God only knows this world needs more love and compassion. Oh my goodness. So we're going to be on that side of the people. We do have to stay distant from the toxic types, but boy, does the world need more love and compassion right now. So the way this happens is by starting to give yourself a little high five that you got up in the morning, you brushed your teeth. Hopefully you got up on time. I hope you have a sleep schedule and a food schedule, and you've listened to this webinar now for over an hour. Kola kavod, great. Just right now, just give yourselves a high five or pat on the back. Wonderful. And just going through the day like this. I write down every day. I write down my victories every day. I took money to somebody who was a poor lady today. I dropped something else off to another person. I went through the city, which is hard for me. And then I went to visit some. It's like whatever I do, I write down all the things that I do. Not all of them, but I write down the things I do, what I call my victories, that I got up on time. I keep my sleep schedule. I keep my food schedule. I don't touch sugar. I take my vitamin D every day. Things, all these little things that show self-care and self-love. And they're little tiny little things. Okay? Floss your teeth. That's huge. Make sure you get to the dental hygienist every 6 months. So bringing more positivity and love into our world from these tiny little things. Do any of you floss your teeth? That's huge. Okay? That's how we learn self-love. Believe me, flossing teeth is how we learn it. If somebody overpaid you, and you give them the money back, you notice it. Put it down. I had to ask a repairman to do something, and he left and he didn't do it. And I had to think, I'm going to call the company. And then they gave me a whole song and a dance. And then I said, you know what? I have a choice to let it go or to keep being upset with them. And I decided just to let it go. Okay. So sometimes just letting it go, let people go. All day long, you can be having these victories. The fact that you're still on here, that you're still listening, that's a victory. So, Rivka says, today I chose an apple instead of a sugar treat. High five. Okay? I five little kids all the time, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds. When I'm out for my walks, I always ask people, tell me a victory you did today. Here, you're out for a walk. High five. Okay? So that's what we have to do. Imelda says, I follow Miriam's ideas, and today my family is a hotbed of loving actions. That's great. Good for you. Okay, so you learn just to be more positive. Every time I go to the store, I say something nice to whoever is the checker outer there. Okay, wow, you're so good. You're so fast. I like your smile. Any place you can add a little joy to the world is wonderful.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Miriam. We're going to get close to closing up here in just a few minutes. So I do want to encourage anyone that still has questions to please come on back and let us know. We're happy to answer as many as possible. Yes, you are still getting your seats in the raffle. Anyone who is signing up anyone who has signed up already, and anyone who is registering in the next few minutes before we close up, you will certainly get your spot in the raffle. And of course, if you put your phone number right here into the chat box and you're waiting for a call, you will also get into the raffle. So no worries there. As soon as you register over the phone with somebody from our team, we will make sure that you also get entered into the raffle. Again, I do want to go ahead and just welcome. It's been already a few minutes and we have many more people who have joined, so it's really exciting. Welcome, Jacob. Welcome, Leah. It's so great to have both of you. Welcome, Sarah. and welcome bracha. So if you are in and you haven't let me know yet, just come on back and write the words "I'm in." I would love to be able to welcome you before we close up. And Miriam, as we still have a couple hundred people here on the line with us, if you could just leave us with some words. I mean, I think today's entire class was really so encouraging, and I can tell that everything that comes from your mouth is just out of love and healing and strength, and it is so lovely to be on class with you. I don't always get that opportunity, but I am very grateful I got to be here with you today. If you can leave us with some closing words. I know that there are still some people who are on the fence. You know, is this the right way for me to start my healing journey or to continue my healing journey? So I'd love to be able to address them and anything, any of those thoughts that are still creeping in. I don't know if I can do, if I can go on this healing journey. Am I strong enough? Is this going to help me? If I can't love myself, how do I even, invest in myself right now?
Well, it says in Sefer Devarim, what is that in English? Deuteronomy. It's funny. I grabbed it out of my bookshelf, and that is what I opened up to. Is exactly, my God, that's like a miracle. And I opened up to this phrase. It says, I have wounded and I heal. Machatzti v'ani erpa. The word rofei, doctor, is from healer. So it says Hashem is the one who wounds. Can you believe that I just opened up to that? Oh my goodness, that is, I'll tell you where it's written. It's written in 32, which is love and lev. It's very interesting that the word love in Hebrew is lev in Hebrew, love in English. Okay, so 32, 39 says, I wound and I heal. So a lot of us, because we didn't have loving parents, it's very hard for us to think of a loving God or loving whatever higher power. But I promise you that as you begin to learn to love yourself, you will feel that you are part of a loving universe. This is very important. Hashem wounds us. Our wounds all come from him, and Hashem will heal us, but we have to take the first step. So we just take the steps. I brush my teeth. I get out of bed almost every day, almost at the same time. I go to sleep almost at the same time. Very, very important to keep a schedule. That's part of the becoming a loving, consistent, reliable, dependable person that we may not have had as children. That we do things reliably and dependably. Whether it's saying Sfirat Omer, or getting up at a specific time, or making sure that we don't eat sugar, or making sure that we have we take our vitamin D3 every day. Please don't get this virus, okay? Doing these little things for ourselves is what begins the healing process. We have to do our part. Nobody is coming to heal me. Nobody is coming to get me out of my lazy boy. Nobody's coming to make me better. Pills don't teach skills. No pill can make me better. I went that route. I tried psychiatrists. I tried healers. I tried all kinds of different people. And I finally had to get it through my head that I have to take the steps myself. Physically, I have to take care of my body, eat and sleep correctly. Emotionally, I have to learn to be self-regulated. And I'm going to teach you all self-regulation skills. Mentally, I need constant inspiration. And spiritually, I need to connect to the fact that I am part of something bigger here and I have a mission. As somebody wrote, that I think it was Rabbi Nachman, although they said it was Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein, who was nifter last week, Zichrono Livracha, wonderful man. He said, the day you were born is the day God decided that the world couldn't exist without you. So we each have our own, the healing that I have done on myself because of my wounds is what has helped people with similar wounds. And that's what I love about this community and this family. This family is my family. My actual family is not too interested in what I do or my books or whatever they do. So this is my family, the people who are here, this, Yaakov and Miriam and Rivka and all of you and Imelda. This is the family where I can share and be real. And just the love that we pour on each other. And thank you all for your lovely sayings here. So this is what's going to heal, the little bits of love, the little bit of light. I hope that you're all exercising every day. I hope you have a sleep plan, and I hope you're taking care of yourselves, and I hope you're giving yourself the loving care that you might not have gotten. So that's what's going to change little by little. And people that have been here for 9 years with me, that's just amazing. And I honor everybody who's here with me. I need you as much as you need me. It's a wonderful, caring, loving place where people can be real. And it might be the only place we can be real. It's hard to be real in a world that doesn't allow people to share their emotions. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I feel honored.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us, Miriam. It really means the world to us at Jewish Workshops, and I know that everybody who's still here on the line, it was just such a special day to be able to spend these few hours with you. Thank you to everyone who joined us from all over the world, whether it was morning, afternoon, evening. It also, again, means so much to us that you decided to spend your time with us. So thank you, Miriam. We're getting a lot of thank yous here in the question box. Thank you very much for all of the beautiful and positive thoughts. Thank you, Miriam, for all your advice, your love, and support. You have been a beacon of light for all of us. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and keep our webinar open for just a little bit longer. You won't hear any voices, but that way, if there are still people who are trying to register and are having some difficulties, you'll be able to put your name and your phone number right here into the chat box, and we will still be able to get the information. So thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to having all of our brand new members join us next Monday for our very first class. And if you need help or you want to reach out in any way, you can always reach us at jewishworkshops@jewishworkshops.com. So thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of your day.